New York Fashion Week wraps up Wednesday. It's been showcasing a full range of designers from industry leaders to fledgling brands, all debuting collections for the spring-summer 2025. While some are embracing AI and technology as new staples of the design process, others aren't so sure. And for more on the way forward in fashion, let's now bring in Joshua T. Williams. He's president of the Fashion Consort and assistant professor at the Parsons School of Design. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. So over and over again, one of the questions I pose to designers I spoke with is how do they remain profitable in a cooling global economy? Repeatedly, their answers to me, to paraphrase, was basically that their lines are all recession-proof. People still want to look good. Maybe at the high end, yes, but the fashion industry in New York has seen contraction, 50,000 jobs lost over the last recent years. So I guess the question is, sir, is New York the fashion Mecca that it once was?
You know, I think in many ways it still is. Certainly, the heartbeat of fashion is in New York City. But you bring up really good points here, and there's been a recent report that comes out that has come out that has rang alarm bells, so to speak. And I think that has a little less to do with sort of fashion and how sort of that vibe in New York City that's always been there. And really the focus is more here on the business side of things and how that has shifted dramatically over the last 20, 30 years, particularly with technology and moving a lot of things offshore.
I understand what you're saying, but I guess my question is how relevant is Fashion Week in the advent of things like e-commerce and using influencers year-round now? Why go through the hassle and spend all the money on elaborate runway shows? Does it serve the same purpose that it once did?
It's definitely shifted. I mean, Fashion Week was very much built around the press, and it was a way to get information out to the marketplace about the styles that were going to be available in stores, typically 6 to 8 months later. Obviously, that's completely changed with the advent of the internet and social media in particular. And so in many ways, Fashion Week is very much about connecting with the direct consumer, the actual person who's going to buy those clothes rather than the press itself. So in many ways, I think a lot of fashion brands are sort of grappling with what Fashion Week means for them in this day and age, but it certainly is an opportunity to develop content. And we know, of course, with social media, that content is king. So to have a time where they know they can show their collection, there's a lot of celebration in the air, there's a lot of people, influencers, celebrities, and so forth that are coming to New York for this time. It's a great chance to potentially capture a lot of content that will then be used to engender interest and hopefully sales.
I saw a few brands switch to showroom presentations as opposed to runway collections. Many designers are using more economical spaces as well for their shows. Now that New York Fashion Week has decentralized, it used to be all focused in one venue. How much do you think that helps up-and-coming designers and gives them a chance to shine, if you will?
You know, the fact that it used to be centralized really gave voice, I think, in a very powerful way to both those brands that people knew, but also new and upcomers. But there's always been those who've been on the outskirts that perhaps don't have enough money to participate and that we're looking for kind of different ways to attract an audience. So that's always been part of fashion, particularly in New York City. But I do think that with the decentralization moving away from Bryant Park many years ago, there's been a greater need for these brands to kind of figure out how to do this on their own, so to speak. And obviously with social media and reaching out through the internet, they can do that in very interesting ways, and often in ways that are very connected to their actual customer and not to, let's say, the broader culture or the broader press.
You're obviously on the forefront of fashion and teaching it to students, being at Parsons. There's still a big divide when it comes to using AI and high tech in the design process. Are designers that are not getting on board making a mistake, in your opinion?
I think it's inevitable. I think that AI is very much a part of design, whether people say it is or not. So many of the programs and platforms that we use in order to make the fashion industry work, it's a very complex industry that requires information and products and services across multiple continents. So there's already a lot of AI in that. I think when, in listening to the package before, there's certainly the question I think when you ask that question to most designers, they're thinking of it in terms of design. And that's certainly starting to become of interest to designers, to be able to use AI to inform their designs or to push their designs further, more futuristic, so to speak, or to push the envelope of what design can mean. But at the end of the day, clothes have to fit. And unlike other art forms, there still has to be a place to put your arms and your legs and be able to walk and move and function. And so, I think there's a balance that designers are trying to understand in terms of AI. And certainly when it comes to education, I think it's very key to understand how technology, AI particularly, will inform these processes, both business and design.
Yeah, absolutely. And how it impacts, the environment and sustainability and creates less waste as well are things to look at as well. Thank you so much for your perspective. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Joshua T. Williams.